Obviously, today, the 21st of December, as we approach Christmas, December 21 is on a Monday evening or night where I am, and we bring you the warmest of season greetings from the Then and Now platform. Fambul, and today we get a very special guest, not only first time he appeared on the program. He's becoming a legend on the program already because of the few times the way to appear, because the man will know exactly what he talk. He's not a stranger in the in-house of social media. He always in the media, they try for inform way of things the way we supposed for know. And this not to bush radio talk. This is based on experience. He's an expert, and we talk about policies, not to the small talk. So today we want to talk about something really very special. Like I say, the national conversation has already begun. It is imperative on every one of us to get engaged, because we talk about the soul of our nation. What thing we left behind for we picking them? We picking them. This onus is there upon we. We can't just dismiss this. Here lies the responsibility on every one of us. So today, like I say, we've got none other than an expert, okay? When you talk about transportation, when you talk about governance, if now policy, you talk about whatever, he is right there in the center. He got over 8 years of experience working at the heart of the democracy, or the mother of all democracy, if you will like, which is the heart of British Parliament. He's worked there for over 8 years with vast experience, where he try for bring to our own domain. And this man is none other than Mr. Victor Ako Mengot. Mr. Mengot, welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And to people them who look once more, and this wishing all season's greetings, and letting all stay safe this COVID period. The one that will go visit their family, let God bring joy to you. The one that will stay home, stay for enjoy this time. We waiting at the UK, then say, Lord, we day in isolation. But all that, we're ready for engaging now. And this program will they bring come now for let know what thing they happen at the country, especially with this COVID. And all them talk about audit reports. And we go try, as we an objective station, we go give it to the report, we go give the government view, and then we go provide solutions how we go improve transport management in the public sector.
Okay, so that was a brief introduction from the man himself that we've got here tonight. So make a lay the premise of this conversation, although I get an idea already which way it is going to be going. But the introduction will set the pace, Fambulem. This is very interesting. And we talk about a transport provision and many other things, but at the heart of government, we also talk about policies. So transportation system, now system which are designed for operate under a defined condition, not just any kind of condition, is defined. So even though it is defined, disruptions can happen, such as those caused by accidents or by floods. Some can be artificial and some can be real. Typical example, we don't see that, it don't play out in our country many a times, whether now the flood will be happening or the mudslide, and these are frequent and well mitigated. On occasion, a disruption is much more, they happen at a larger scale when it takes place to the extent that the safety or security of an entire region or a nation is compromised. And we've seen this many a times now with Lily country. Whether not Ebola you want to talk about, whether not the mudslide you want to talk about, we know how then they affect we because we are limited in resources and technology and you name it. While that could be defined as an emergency, that's in the way I just talk about, but this can be handled by local resources, if you like, such as those of the local police, healthcare, and the emergency response and disaster will require broader intervention that could go to the national and international level. Therefore, gentlemen and ladies, a disaster is an event going beyond anticipated capabilities for we for respond. Again, with the talk, we all don't see them if we want to be realistic. Then disaster, then they will strike we. If not for God and Nabi, where we never then come, with international partners and donors then come for can assist with like Ebola will be see where the capacity will be get for them. So sometimes they okay, one lady blame squarely at government, but sometimes they can find for them we keep an open view. We not be getting capacity at all for that kind of disaster then day. And this is what I'm bringing out to you tonight. So transportation is often in this regard considered for being a critical infrastructure, hence the significance of roads. Since disruption in one of its components can have a significant impact on the economy and social well-being of a region or even the entire nation. An effective way for we assess how critical the activities of them people talk about can affect we in terms of we services. Now that thing they are now we need for do. So from an economic standpoint of view, the impact of disasters are dependent on three factors. The impact of the disaster depend on them. So the nature and level of incidents of disasters, that would be one. And then the second one are the level of exposure of population them and infrastructure. And three, the level of vulnerability of populations and infrastructures. Several drivers get impact. I mean, the things that we can influence their situation there, they get impact on the threat and risk level of disasters on management or transportation system. So family asunaki that what they were just put down. Very, very critical. Very, very solid. But for make we understand all of this within the context of the recently released Auditor General report, now make we get this expert panel area there, how these things are blended into the Auditor General report and how much of it we actually need for understand. So Mr. Mengot, I put this first question to you, sir. Yeah. We don't hear waiting all don't happen inside the Auditor General report. This is no longer a secret TSA. The report is out there. So people they need for move on to them. So parenting their own lawyery, some of we go understand, some of we not go understand. I make they get people that like experts such as you. What are you able to tell family for let them understand about this recently released Auditor General report within the context of this introduction what I just read, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. And this Auditor General report, we all been waiting for them. And why we been waiting for them? Because some leakage, like we say leakage, we like we get exam leakage. We don't come out, we then say almost people they spend per Ebola and Corona, this COVID, almost they spend, you know, one of the highlights, so we talk about we national TV and social media, now the vehicle they way them buy. And they're very important. Why the vehicle way them buy very important? Because when you get a disaster like COVID, we will talk about what's happened with Ebola for the comparative study. When you get disaster, we need people that way they go to the field. People that way they go what you go say, sensitize English. But when they go make people that say, hey, this is not danger, this is not so enough for do for avoid them, this is not so enough for do. And also, we see say, sometimes and day, if one area there, it gets exposed, government will go there with the people that way they work there. So actually, people that way they work there for actually go find out how to mitigate this disaster. For say, well, waiting what happen, waiting government will do. What happen, government decides say then get one body where they bring all men together where they call NACOVERC. That NACOVERC, they comprise the different parts in our government. You get the Office of National Security, when they manage disaster. You get the health workers them. You get the police. You get the community workers them. You get the social workers them. They all come together. Government drop the policy. But nothing for just sit down. Then people are get for move. And if they get for move, we get for provide transport for them. And then transport they don't provide. Transport is not a cheap thing. then buy vehicle them, then buy motorcycle. And when we talk, there will be some man then say, then vehicle here, then too expensive. Why no more the bigger ledger, they no more than give vehicle them. They not go use the vehicle there for what they give them for. All them talk then they. But we no come for judge all land. We come for telling us, say, this is what happen. This is what the government provide. This is the money where the government provide. This is the support we get for the international community. And how we use them transport them. How much we pay for them. Who that buy them. Who that then the user. Waiting then the user for. And if then the user for the right thing. So now that's what they can talk about today. And let you understand how anything where they happen. Not just COVID. Again, a small example. Even we say we get responsibility. Because now we see people and they bill us every time. When they bill us, some of them us they don't get access road. And if you get disaster like fire, you need for access for go save the people. So this is not so just COVID. Anytime we get wahala or kulala, we get people the way to go help for provide respite or refuge to the people. And then they cost money. So the audit report, now how they get in here, how much then they spend for operating them, who do they use them, and how they manage them. So now that's what they can talk about today.
Yes, Mr. Mengot. Thank you so much, sir, for that. And very important topic, very important man on the platform for help we for understand all of them things there where they happen or where don't happen already. And like we say, there is no much for let we be labor on as everything they out there for let we self access. So, Mr. Mengot, you just talk about the transportation just now, or the acquisition and usage and mitigating the COVID-19 pandemic based on the Auditor General in reports. Let me talk about procurement if we can, sir. Okay. Yeah. Yes, let me talk about procurement a little bit, because inside the Auditor General report, we hear about purchases that were made, especially with motorbike, vehicle, we cost baby money, heavy money, where some of we don't understand it today, how they go about them in terms of policy, because we understanding is government does have a policy on vehicle fleet, but whether it is working and if it work the right way. You were able to take we through this and supposedly the acquisition of all the motorbike there as how they outline them inside the Auditor General report. We make for them can understand, say, the way how they go about them, not really be bad, but they use some middleman or some. You understand this more, if you can shed light on us, please.
Okay, the first thing we can talk about, in any we program them, you understand? Now, waiting the law say, right? We get one group of we get a body in a salon, like organization, when at the National Public Procurement Authority. And that authority there, now Parliament get the rights for say, how you want to buy vehicle them, or not only vehicle, anything where government they buy, whether na equipment, whether na for bring consultants for handle work, whether na for maintain building. If any ministry or departmental agency want to do that, government get what they call the procurement law. When a done it for follow. And then it in place. But for the COVID, the situation very unique, and I will explain why it's unique. In any disaster, government get for act quick. We all know say sometimes procurement by the time they put out the order, say they evaluate who that will do the supply, it will take long. And disaster will come, we get for act fast. And the government will get credit, then do well for do that. So for them able to do that, the president go to parliament. He go ask the parliamentarians and say, let we get a public state of emergency. Whether needing our constitution, when our Bible of law, the parliamentarians all engage together, they say, okay, this is important. Law give government this right. And under the public state of emergency, now that thing they then begin explain to tell people there, say for waka, I enough for go some side, and then we get coffee order. We will see all that in there, but let's stick to the subject matter. When the vehicle they wouldn't get. Because under that, because of the Oriori, not in a bad way, where government need for protect the people. Some of the rules they will gain our procurement act can be relaxed. And I explain what that mean. Because under procurement, when you want to procure something, government will make open competition. You get for advertise what government don't do. Most time, they will get like 3 people that will say, well, me, I go able to do this, and at the price this one I go charge, and at the service this one I go give. But under COVID, the government allow for the what you call single sourcing. When means saying a 1 grain policy no more, then can call when at the best possible where they don't consult, say, well, this is not a competition again. I'll get somebody who will do it. And before we go there, the Ministry of Transport, now the main ministry where they advise government when they want to buy a vehicle. Now also they advise government how to maintain a running vehicle. Now remember that too, the Ministry of Transport and responsibility. So okay, Ministry of Transport, then go ahead with the job where government give it. And try to get a vehicle here. We've been in social media, people and they argue, and the number of vehicles where they get, now 30 vehicles there. Where some man they say whether an SUV, and what the SUV mean? Yeah, that's special usage vehicle. They're high vehicle like they're proud to get high clearance. You know, it can't go na rough ground them. And some man then say, well, this is not to SUV where the minister said, this is a Prado. So people have argue, SUV na Prado, Prado na SUV. Well, don't forget about that. Government go ahead and get their vehicle in there. Then we get discussion where they say, well, some of their vehicle there where they buy, even though they say that be new vehicle there. Some will be old vehicle there. But the government minister, the deputy minister can complain. He said, no, they are a new vehicle they will buy. Right? So that's not the thinker. But with all them talk then they, people don't talk. The Auditor General, when I government the responsibility for make sure say if they watch every ministry and department, how then they spend their money. So the Auditor General being there for audit. Before them, they say, no, audits COVID, NACOVERC. Government say no, because we get an emergency, the man way they talk to government in yes, panel law business will call Attorney General. He say, no, this is not to the right time. So we've all been the wait until this report come out. And when the report come out, longer one. We don't go too much into detail on the report.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's in the happen, when they produce the report, they get for go parliament. Parliament then get the responsibility for look at what's in the auditor say. But now I highlight the thing the way the report fair not. First, the contract for Biden vehicle, it was about 20 billion, when US dollar at 2 million. Right? Yeah, so
I don't know whether that's where you're going to do for me, which means that you're already reading, they read me mind, which is you can get a fabulous figure there in Lyons with all these zeros, and some man left salon long time ago, not really understand what these figures then represent. So are you going to break this down for me in terms of Forex, like the dollar? Or
yes, we go do them because why we go do them? Because whether you come to England or America, the world currency in a dollar. That makes us get dollar boys. We not get pound boys. We not get euro boys. So na dollar all my year. So that the total money the government allocate for Biden vehicle now $2 million. Right?
Yes, sir.
Outside the the auditor say the ministry when the government give that responsibility there. they self can take catalog, look within the price the way they will get dealership and buy directly. But the ministry say no, then go get middleman. Now that middleman there, the problem come back. Say a middleman then call for students here. Then the auditor say, well, okay, because in a bring middleman, right? And in another one, in a self, that middleman, they say to make your small lily and nothing. The middleman, according to the auditor, he increased the price to under $320,000, up to $320,000. So now the difference between the price where if the government will buy direct and waiting the middleman in charge government. Well, remember say government get contracts. Now so the ministry say they get contracts, they get agreements, they get their advice. But the key figure is when you go through middleman, it go cost you. Now that's the auditor in a report say $320,000. Nine government shot him because they use that way they forget the vehicle. The next thing we'll talk about the motorbike. Because a 30 vehicle and buy and 100 motorbike.
Mr. Mengo, pause while you collect your thoughts because I want to family understand something. I mean, we all, both me, where they conduct this program here tonight, which is, for example, the procedure in itself for acquiring vehicle and they at that time, you know, you're looking at cost benefits and etc. etc. Was it right? Because I suppose a procedure suppose for day or a day. Was it right? Was it about a middleman or was it the procedure itself in the way they went about acquiring these vehicles and the money they went and spend?
Well, according to the Ministry of Transport, what they then say, then go through the guidance for the National Public Procurement Authority did them. But the big question is, the auditor, they say, even though they give that guidance, why in a go get middleman? It's like me now. I want to buy motocar. We get Toyota dealer, we get Honda dealer. Then you know, it's a very technical thing. I know the type of motocar I want. All I get for doing now for look the different dealer them. Would I get the kind of motocar I want and the price what I can afford? Because if I go call Mr. A or Mr. B to do that work there for me, he not go do it free. He go must get for putting on there. And then they go affect the price where he charge me. Well, like that the auditor they say the price where they charge government for their vehicle and day, it increased by $320,000. Which means if government be doing direct, they may for save small money. Now that's the issue within the discourse.
Right.
That's now for the next thing when they buy their motorbike, you know, say the motorbike now for the field operators, then like people the way they do disease surveillance, the field worker, then, the one the way they go do sensitization, they buy 100.
Yeah.
And the TVR motorbike the way they buy, right? They say the same way where the dealer them, the price where they charge government, now $1,882, right?
Yeah.
And also, if government may buy them direct, then if for buy them $1,310. So again, like the full contract, the short change or the difference in price means say other $57,000 go on top of the price for the motorbike.
Okay. Mr. Mengo, thank you so much for that. And Fambulem, today is Monday, the 21st of December, 2020, bringing you very warm greetings, season greetings from the Den and now. Feliz Navidad to everybody. Very, very important conversation ongoing tonight on this platform regarding the heart and soul of the country, with the government right in the center of it. And all of this being explained to us from an expert point of view, from we guest tonight, who is very vast with the things the way we did talk about here, this net, Mr. Victor Mengot. Mr. Victor, I know say you talk about this purchasing, of motorbikes and vehicles to the tune of about 20 billion leons. And I know say you get for breakdown and figure and day for we later in different ways. But the audit report, I want to take you back there because this is at the heart of the discussion of waiting to go on now in the entire country, both within and without, both domestically and internationally. So you don't deal with this middleman issue where the Auditor General report don't deal with. Say the problem here is with the middleman. If we not be use middle person, it will be far less than using a middle person. And I think say that at part 35. And then 36, the decision for engage a supplier, where not be just a middle person, where I believe say they deal with, a further breach the terms of the contract. Now, then I want to follow you expand, but I know say you've been there, but I really
okay,
want to...
what in the auditor say?
Yes,
when other things say because what in do is say the vehicle then, because what in government say and the ministry say, all the vehicle then are brand new.
Mm-hmm.
But when, and not to the Auditor General, because they may get work on AYV, when they bring somebody from the procurement authority, when they ask her, they say out of them vehicle then they, 2 of them vehicle then they, not a new vehicle.
Mm.
And now you gonna say not a new vehicle. For any vehicle where you buy, you get what they call odometer. Odometer, and that thing like clock within at the front part of the vehicle, where they tell you almost mile that vehicle they don't do. Yes, so if a new vehicle, electric and driver from the supplier in yard, go give you, we will take the distance na salon. About take that vehicle, they not go don't do 500 kilometers. And that's the reality.
Okay.
But if you go get a vehicle, you see, this vehicle here, now about 10,000 kilometers. That means that you don't use them before.
Yeah.
Now make sure even self, what you know is important, even like you will get your vehicle and for go check every year we get registration. The people the way they register your vehicle, they record what's at the vehicle in mileage. If they know your vehicle log book. And that mileage then I also they determine who stay you for maintain your vehicle. So it's very important. So if you say this vehicle will bring a new vehicle, then you don't use, according to the odometer, the 2 vehicle, let me not use them before.
Yeah.
It means, like we get a brand new vehicle, you go take 1 year before you maintain it. But if you don't get the clock, it means the maintenance cost go, the maintenance time go early, which means it will increase your operating costs.
Yeah.
So on that basis, I make the Auditor General say, if they tell the supplier, say, look, say, okay, government go through the right procedure. Because we don't decide that, of course. Say they bring suppliers. Sometimes, as they say now, what's in the government say now, they don't send procurement officer and all the ministry. Say sometimes the one way they send go ministry, you know, be rich yet. Sometimes they leave. And I make sure they take me to the one for one. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Let's say you get contract. The contract said them for supply new. If 28 na new, then 2 na old, that means the supplier don't breach the contract.
Absolutely.
Now that's the Auditor General.
Absolutely. Okay. Brilliant, sir. Also, Pandi report, if you will permit me, Pandi report, there is part, I believe 37, just get me notes up quickly. We talk about, I believe, insurance, NACOVERC and insurance. So then vehicle there, they suppose, including the motorbike, then they're all supposed to be insured. Now, so the understanding of the entire thing, they inside the report. But it turned out for me something else, which also provide grave danger for the people then where they're supposed for serve. Either if they hit somebody or somebody there on the inside and something was to happen, there is no cover up. Can you deal with that, please, Mr. Mengot, please?
Okay, for the insurance, law start first waiting at the law, regardless of who that get vehicle, whether a government vehicle, whether a private vehicle. According to the law, whether the Road Traffic Act 2007, nobody enough for put vehicle on a road we not insure.
Absolutely.
So if you put vehicle on a road we not insure, now against the law, they bet you.
Yeah.
So then vehicle are then supplied in April. But now fast forward, because when Audit was doing a report, he allowed the ministry for respond. So what's in the ministry then say when they supply their vehicle here, under NACOVERC, you get different ministry there. Like you get ONS, you get Ministry of Health, you get them people here. They say they get quotes from the National Insurance Commission of how to insure the vehicle.
And the SLRSA and the ASSL. I don't know, you can break that all of that down for me as well.
Okay, the SLRSA, now the agency will be under the same ministry when they're responsible for register vehicle. When you buy a vehicle, either in a salon or you buy abroad or I sell me vehicle to you, now there they go now for go do change of ownership and get a registration document with the for that vehicle day. And I will come back to something where they talk later on why it's important for that vehicle get registration. So the ministry say, then contact the Sierra Leone Road Safety Authority, say in a give you quote for almost for register them vehicle here. Then contact insurance, say in a give you quote for almost for insure the vehicle. But waiting not clear, the expectation say that the ministry for do all that before they hand over. That I mean transport ministry.
Yeah.
But transport ministry say not to their own responsibility that. When they shape their vehicle here, the different ministry and departments, when they get for use that vehicle, now they get for register insurance. We don't know to what extent the communication between the two sides is. So we're not able to say who that right and who that wrong. But the key points now we are to make, as government, for being a responsible government, we got to make sure say vehicle that would put in a road with the government people, they get for insurance. Not only for the other people in the road, even the one with the user. Because we get health and safety law. If I employ a driver, I know we'll make sure say I put that driver in a vehicle, we're not insured. That driver, they get family. Anything can happen to them. But since the report, the audit team, now look at it now from April.
Yeah.
Now, the response we'll get, the people that were responsible for them vehicle, and they say they don't write to the insurance and SLRSA. They send a letter from September. September, remember saying that December would they so.
Yeah.
For letting them insure and register the vehicle. What you don't know, whether their vehicle then they register and still insure.
Right.
So that the serious chamot down the way the auditor fail. Because the auditor in the look and say, government get forget, and we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
But government their own policy. And why government come up with policy for managed vehicle. So now that's not the thing the way the Auditor General fail not.
Right. Thank you again so much to everybody in the chat room. They ask, please let's share it. You know, if we share together, then we'll multiply. And we say this is a national conversation which is on. We're not taking sides, very impartial, and that's what they try for bringing counsel with people. Then, Una, the public, go adjudicate on the things then that we are saying. But with us here tonight, we've got an expert guest in person of Mr. Mengot. And what will they talk about? Now, something where the man gets to the tip of his finger, then the experience to the tip of his fingers, then both inside the classroom, theoretically, if you like, and then practically. So please help for share this video. Just a quick lineup for waiting to come on the DNR platform this week. We get Tomorrow we get lawyer Ade Macaulay will be on this platform tomorrow night at about the same time, 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Lawyer Ade Macaulay will be on this platform. I can tell you guys this. We also forget the former journalist, the former BBC correspondent, Mr. Winston Ojukutu Macaulay, who happens to be Umaru Fofana, the predecessor to Umaru Fofana, or Umaru Fofana in predecessor. So he will be on the platform as well. We haven't decided on the date and time yet, but we know say everything is penciled, so he will be here. We also get Mr. Alfred Sanko Cashbox, the famous voice of Cashbox. We understand auditing and financial matters, and this auditing report will come out. It can scatter for we on Wednesday. And Mr. Mohammed Kamara, aka Supermed, will be on this platform. And also coming on this platform will be a new show which will be championed by Mr. Metsiga. Mr. Metsiga will be on this platform with a young show called The Melvin Metsiga Show, with awesome interviews with everyday people. We want to talk about fashion, want to talk about food, culture, tradition, and you name it. He's got it all, and he's going to be on this platform. They air a regular show at a regular time and a regular date. We will keep on posted. The flyers, then they come out soon. But not forget, tonight, we'll talk about something within at the heart of government. We're very serious to the people. From an impartial point of view, just the latest, and luckily for we get an expert who will help you with this. So I'll come back to you again, Mr. Mengot. I want to let you rub much little bit on something we get to do with the acquisition and management and usage of transport resources. The relevance of this, because we only need to go back to, I think that was it 2014? You see, it's been a while that I can't even record. I want to talk about
2015.
2015. Yeah. Okay. So we get this pandemic way, boss kind of we country cause we so much harm. We get about 13,000 people or so who were kind of infected. And then as a consequence of the infection and by this virus called Ebola, we lost almost 4,000 of we compatriots. May their souls rest in peace. And at that we get this onus and the imperative upon us that we have to try and get this balance right. It's not about hate, like most people like to say. It's about a national conversation for find common ground, a place of convergence. Also, we go discuss with ifs and buts, disagree but agree for take the country forward. So what are the importance, Mr. Mengot, of the acquisition, management, and usage of transport resources during pandemic or epidemic, if you like, please?
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll go back to the crisis. Just like how we don't talk about COVID, yes, how government respond, we then provide money. We also get support because some other part of the report, they talk to the Chinese and even give a generator where some man say that generator get food. We're not to that to the talk about Naya. To the talk about Naya, the British government, when we don't work most time in my life at local government level, at parliament level, yeah, they may spend almost 427 million for treats with Ebola patients and for support burial teams and train frontline staff and provide laboratory them for test samples. All them here for do them, you need transport. Yeah. So during that time, the British they say, okay, from all the people that we don't talk about, we don't talk to. Now, one thing we able to discover from this experience, for say, without transport, we health system not going to survive, not just in disaster. We get situation where Cumbria they want born picking. Then they're far from the health center. Yeah. For move them from that host to health center in that critical hour of need, if we not get appropriate transport, then they're one of the causes of high maternal mortality. When you get complication in pregnancy, you need specialist care. So myself now, as far back as 2007, So they talk about almost 13 years ago, when I've been work for this organization called CASAID, when an international NGO way specialized in transport. I go free talk with the support of WHO for God develop a transport management system for health. So now 2007, so not to this government we talk about, the government at the past.
Yeah.
So we do it for the Ministry of Health, advise government, then do come. Then when we get Ebola, they realize say, then we don't go tell government how to manage the transport, not in place. Even though 8 years behind, I be not go do the same work.
Yeah.
So now the British government say, okay, what you can do, now consider all these issues when they talk about transport, how they determine which kind of transport you need, which type of vehicle you need, which side they get them from, how they train the people where they ride them, how they use them for measure your level of service delivery. Because in health now, what most people they don't know, 30% of healthcare delivery, regardless of whether Ebola or not, or COVID, not transport. And I will show you why. You need ambulance. When a patient sick, then go for transport or ambulance. Although we country now, I see one thing where the apple we're not supposed to happen when they put the body in ambulance. Ambulance not for the body, now for the living. When they go do disease surveillance, you need transport. For going to them place there, if you get not a motorcar you go need. You go need motorcycle, something and a bicycle type you go need.
Yeah.
Where they do disease surveillance. Where they do community health care. Like so where they go meet the people say they need help. A person they will get for go meet them people and they need transport. So you see how transport very blood samples. We know how many blood laboratories we get in our talk, or how many blood bank we get in our talk. A few places. If somebody there in a hospital, you need blood, the emergency, you get for move out from Musa with the keep up for go get the person. We need transport. So you see how transport important in the healthcare delivery. Now make so DFID, that's not the British big aid agency, when a Department for International Development, we don't support we all throughout the years. Yeah. They commission this agency called Transaid, where me work for 7 years. And what they can do in Salona, part of the system will develop how to manage public transport. And when they call that system, they from the cradle to the grave. What you know, from the cradle, now how you the bomb picking. Yeah. And from bomb picking, now how you buy your transport. What kind of transport you buy? Right? Yeah. For determining, it depends on how you maintain them. Almost fairly they use. Because when you buy their vehicle, then they which most of we people then buy it for use. Some of their vehicle then a 3.5 liter engine they get. And a 3.5 liter engine vehicle, on average, go do 11 to 12 kilometers per hour consumption. Per liter, sorry. 11 to 12 kilometers per liter. So imagine if that vehicle they come off rich on go almost petrol you need for putting. Yeah. What I said, we don't get case in a friction, we crime day. You call police for they respond. Policeman say you don't get vehicle. If you get vehicle, say you don't get fuel. So you see how transport important for deliver government work?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Which takes me to another point. Even though you don't elucidate on this particular issue, my question at this time, where I expect a short response is, DFID made all these massive measures. In other words, they provided me with a blueprint, if you will like, which is talking about the relationship between disaster response and a suitable transportation system, which, like I say, you don't articulate very, very well. The question, it sounds a little bit rhetorical, but we expect, an answer from the expert, which is, is it working? We're not here for damn anybody, hold anybody responsible, but with all of the efforts and resources poured into these projects by we international partners such as DFID, is it working? Is it paying off? Has it paid off?
It has not. And the reason it has not, because, like I've been telling you, say 2007, I go help the Ministry of Health for development policy. Their policy, they not put that into operation. You understand? So that makes so when it comes to 2015, we'll get that disaster. It's not for normal health, believe you. We realize, say, again, we still not manage with transport properly. Yeah. That makes so DFID commission that study it. But say, okay, the second reason we make DFID commission that study it, they may donate a lot of ambulance then to we. We get them from different like government by their own, the NSF company draw under the Ebola inquiry. How they buy the ambulance and the same thing will be happening now with the carry so back under COVID. So DFID say, well, let government look at how all the resources will get and for set up a national ambulance service. We're very important. So now that makes sure they do the study. And waiting and me ask them people here for me. When I'm the ex-employee, they say, let them look at every district in the country.
Yeah.
And now look at the national fleet, like almost vehicle there, almost vehicle that each district gets. Or see whether they get enough vehicle for meet their service delivery and they will have been there explained. Yeah, that's the first thing. Next, then talk about systems and structures, which I'll elaborate on. I will explain that later. Which kind of system you put in place. Right?
Yeah.
And they ask them also for look into how you go, each district will get ambulance. So what can they do? Then do the assessment. They make some recommendation. When which kind of vehicle for buy?
Yeah.
How for monitor fuel usage. And I explain that fuel usage now.
Please do so.
We know say NP, I don't know. NP get a system where you can get fuel card. Then they use in other African country. And it's very effective for manage fuel. So instead of driver, they get money for go buy fuel, right? You get that card there where they load. And how they measure fuel? If you not say that driver had to come out from Freetown go Bo, let's say at 250 kilometers. They go and come back. So let's say a total of 500 kilometers. You go able to know almost liter of fuel you will use per kilometer. So that business of siphoning fuel, or if you send the mango boat, it end up in Kenema, you don't use extra fuel. You get for account of for and that we call the accountability. And how you track your vehicle? And I come back to this track vehicle. When this government kind of power, the first thing they do, they say the government commission that DTC report. And one of the things when they look at that DTC report, now for see almost vehicle the government gets. Because again, we will not be get accurate report. Then we set up a task force for begin track government vehicle.
Yeah.
Even some people that will be use them vehicle and they officially they were embarrassed. So if we put system in place for track, you get more than electronic system. For track a vehicle first.
So Mr. Mengbot, let's take this cue from you quickly, but before we go there, government has this vehicle fleet policies, if you would like. Just a little over a year ago, this was celebrated at the Miata Conference Center, you know, and they actually launched the vehicle fleet policy, which is supposed to embody all of these things that we will talk to or address them. But even before Adigode, the GTT report, we come from the very beginning, talk about government vehicle management policy. And then subsequently, waiting me get for come out of it, we then go implement na we then go table na the Miata Conference Center. Give we the in-between, the then and the now. The then will be the GTT report, if you will like. We talk about this vehicle management policy, sir. And then a government policy, which later then implements now, they launch now Miata Conference Center. But 1 year on, I don't know whether the work or consultation still they go on. But you go able for much on this for make family understand.
Okay, now let's give government credit where government credit is due.
Absolutely, sir.
When they kind of see all this scatter, a lot of members say some minister and they were now the last government where they get for return some vehicle then to government. Because government starts by doing an inventory of all their own vehicle. Yeah?
Yeah.
Forgive figure, because I'm a like figure business. Right. Government gets, that is why I talk about government, the ministry, the departmental agencies, then they operate almost 10,000 vehicles. Then are the vehicle fleets. An estimate. Okay. You know, so when you get a vehicle then they?
Yes, sir.
You get fixed cost, when like where you purchase and all into, they get operational cost.
Yeah.
When a fuel, lubricants, and maintenance. Yeah?
Yeah.
So waiting this government saying that fleet policy, then waiting and find out. In 5 years' time, normally, remember say I've been talking from the cradle to the grave, when they come to the grave part, now when they look at who's tell you they replace your vehicle then, right? And how they determine that, or work out the cost of maintenance. Once your cost of maintenance don't higher than the operational cost, it's not useful to you again. You get forget new vehicle. Yeah, so just for give figure, okay. The vehicle they will get, right?
Yes, sir.
For maintaining vehicle they did over 5 years, it will cost the government 6 trillion. 6 trillion loans. And I put in dollars.
Yes, please, because we're not able then zero and the space not in for marketing. In
dollars, then are $594 million.
Oh dear.
Which is equivalent to 17.6% of with GDP. What I mean by GDP, the gross domestic product. That is how much it costs us to run and maintain this vehicle over 5 years. So why government say therefore get a system with for reduce operational cost, fuel cost, and everything? If we save 50% of we cost through effective management, we are talking about well over nearly a savings of 270 million US dollars. Think about what's in that money they can do.
Yeah.
Almost people they go treat in health. Almost water supply we will get from that money. So this is why it's important for now look at government vehicle they will get and how much it costs for operator. Now get another figure. Because when this government can, they take stock of the past government. So the last figure we'll get in 2016 alone, Salon government spent 109 billion on vehicle purchase, maintenance, and fuel. That amount to $14 million.
Goodness me. Right.
Yeah. In 2017, maintenance cost alone was about 10 billion. We account to, in US dollar, $1.4 million. Then for just maintenance. On vehicle maintenance again, when I fuel and lubricants, and fuel and lubricants alone, the government spent inside 1 year nearly 3.5 million US dollars. And these figures are massive.
Make a pause you there quickly. I mean, you go continue right there. Just hold on there. Because I just want to appeal to Fambule where they watch or we subsequently get for watch. These are the things that we need for take into account. I mean, this is almost science because you're breaking down figures and you're computing figures. Where we American man and typically can say, do the maths. And that's what you're doing. And these numbers do exist. And that's what the man is breaking down. So when we make judgment, we need to keep this in mind. This is what experts do. And I noticed Mr. Kamara, they throw invectives, at the guest. Mr. Kamara, of course, you're entitled to your opinion, which doesn't make you right, by the way, but you're still entitled to RAM. But then we try for keep respectful. So not only because the man says something where like, what is the objectivity of what he say? So he make a scorecard na VOS. How much of it did you listen to? On a quick for showing yourself out, this is what the problem is. Listen to the contents. That's what we're talking about. What did he say? You can see he provide a political analysis of waiting currently they go on, give and take, waiting there to government advantage, waiting then on the other side. And above all that, so you now be the expert so and give them zero on the issue and then praise other people and where you go like. Then you forget, say we are all one. Then thing there need for stop. We need for up we game. And on the then and now, please, let's try to keep comments respectful. We can disagree. I mean, we can be to the extreme, but the languages used and we expect people and for keep, the game up. Thank you very much. Sorry for cutting in, Mr. Mengot. Carry on, please, sir.
No, that's fine. These things should happen. I mean, they say the truth is better than fiction.
Thank you.
Whenever you say the truth, and wait till me they talk, I can give you the reference so you can check out for yourself.
Of course, it's not secondary. And this is which I don't be saying at this platform. Therefore, rely on secondary information. The informations are out there. You can go and source them out for yourself, but let it be primary. Not go on for, say, waiting Matasi, wait John bin tell them. No, it doesn't work that way. Even the freedom of information, maybe it might be difficult for you get them, but it does exist back home. You can request for a material, you can pay little cost, and you get them. And do some research. The materials are all over the place. So please, sorry, sir, carry on.
Okay, now, let's see where this government come from. All the research we do about people management and then things that we'll talk about. The president say, okay, this is a serious thing. When I remember the money they were don't call, where they cost government for operate with transport system. So we get a research team. We go Rwanda. If we go look at Rwanda and how Rwanda they manage their system. So, sorry, just one.
No worries at all, sir. I can take up from there. So, I mean, on the platform here tonight, we are having a very special guest, but in the meantime, Fambulem, I want to bring warm season greetings to Una. Will they talk about policies? Will they talk about things that are documented? Will they talk about serious issues affecting the country from a balanced point of view? We also not to everybody go agree, but we can just ask Fambulem, take a step back and look at things from a wider angle, from an open angle, okay? From an open angle. Stop the tunnel vision. You can still the support, but you for disagree because supporting extremely or supporting everything of one thing is not supporting at all. That means you don't even get position. So let me listen to waiting people and get for say and make with judgment based on waiting them people and they get for say and waiting and they say. These are policy documents. If you go to government archives, they are there. Some of what is being discussed here is in international archives, reputable organizations. They are there. Not to yuki, AFAF talk. So let we keep a massage. We get for up we game. Not to all time, here we get for the pick crumbs. We can be a diner on the table. Not to all time we get for serve orders. In other words, let's increase with intellectual capacity in terms of with conversation. Mr. Mengot, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here, back. Yeah.
Okay, you can continue from Musa.
Okay, now I continue. Okay, so when this is now one issue with this government. Now we don't talk about the past government. What it even costs. Now let's talk about what in this government they plan for do for put them here into place. So we can understand. This government, after they don't get all the information, they say, well, now, let's find way for manage transport, right? Because government can't afford for to spend all the money every year with the buy people them, if they know they operate and get an accident to get for change. It's a huge cost to the economy. That's what we're talking about. Yeah? We're not talk about whether this, so the government say, okay, let's send some people and go Rwanda. Go look, because Rwanda is one of the progressive countries in Africa.
Absolutely.
Yeah? In Rwanda, the policy Rwanda gets, no government minister or big alejo, no get official vehicle. What they do, they provide you with a loan, you buy your own vehicle, government, they part subsidize that, then give you standard figure for maintenance of that vehicle. In terms of that vehicle, you can only clear mileage allowance if you do government business. So if you use the vehicle personally outside government business for your own usage, why government for buy fuel for you? That is what they increase with fuel costs. That is what they increase with maintenance costs. That is what they increase with wear and tear. So basically, so the government put this policy together. They want to reduce the capital costs. They want to reduce maintenance. They want to reduce running costs. And key, abuse of public assets. Yeah. Remember, abuse of public assets. We don't get, what should they talk to, not to history, or not to where they happen. We don't hear in the news where some people, ambulance driver, load wood in an ambulance. Whether that ambulance in a forgot take sick man. So even the hygiene part of it, where you go put wood in an ambulance, you put anybody when a patient where they go take at risk.
Yeah.
These are what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We talk also about the behavior of people. Because not the government tell them and say, they go put wood in an ambulance. The man get in discretion we use. The other thing, now for establish this fleet management system using technology, right? I want to talk about fleet management system. It's very simple. Now, who do they manage the fleet? You get everything in place. Some people enjoy the way they go top, right? They get tracking system. And what's in that fleet management system, you can't forget what's in your policy. Why you they use transport? You get your transport officer. How you they allocate the vehicle in terms of priority. So under that, one way government can save costs is forget a pool of vehicles. You get a vehicle pool.
Yeah.
So when you want go do government business, you make what you call a trip request for decide who that go use the vehicle, what you they use and for whether that use of that vehicle is related to the work where government give for them.
Yeah.
Very simple. You know?
Yeah, okay.
Then talk about forget key for foreign policy guidelines for vehicle procurement, management and disposal of hire and leasing. Why important? If you get a fleet, let's say one ministry, some of you vehicle and a Land Rover, some of them are Toyota Land Cruiser, some of them are Prado. That different mix of fleet means you can forget different costs in terms of how they maintain them and how you operate them. Whereas if you get standard fleet, it's easier even when they buy spare parts. Forget bulk spare parts at a cheaper cost. These are what we're talking about. We're talking about progress.
Right. So
then you can forget a central fleet management database by the ministry. So it means just like we government in camp, new government when they begin to track people that get vehicle. If we begin that central vehicle fleet management, then we just can and go to the Ministry of Transport. It can get them details of all the vehicle them who get, whose ministry they are assigned to, how old that vehicle they be, if you register, where we need for change them. It makes life easier.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
You talk about transparency and efficiency where they allocate vehicle. I explain that to you because it's a practical thing I don't do. I worked in Kenya for the Ministry of Health. So what we do, we prioritize service delivery in terms of response to saving life. So if me one vehicle, that vehicle they were waiting to one time, now for go get blood for a victim who is critically ill, you serve at the same time when that vehicle day, but you now for just go supervise somebody, I get priority.
So I'll ask you this question quickly. I know the thing you addressed by Mengot is very, very important. I'm not just the one asking the question as a double negative, but when you don't already deal with that. Because it seems like, say, now policy, now you actually the address regarding how these things are supposed to be managed. So you get internal policy procedures for them kind of things they are. Not so, sir?
Yes, you get.
Okay, so Famule, if you look at the screen now, you go see the internal policy and procedure there. Why is there a failure at the heart of all of these things, even though you get an internal policy and procedure there in place? And Famule, I want to take a look because what we are talking about here is just factual, it's documented. You know, this not authority now they speak so, Mr. Mengot. Okay, it don't work globally, internationally, and don't go help for chat other people and policy as we speak. Is also helping for manage the country in terms of policy in different areas. Okay, so internal policies and procedures, there, Mr. Mengot. Why does the same thing continue to happen? There's a failure at the heart of these policies.
Well, as I say, let's look at how you get policy first.
Yes.
Understand? Policy, you develop policy through a participatory approach. What I mean, through company.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
So that everybody will be responsible for transport, from the driver, within at the lower chain. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, office manager. So, the transport officer. So, the director. All for involved for develop that policy.
Yeah. And
the policy not on something where now fixed thing. You don't forget the objectives and principles.
Yeah.
And I'll go through the things that we they consider under this. Because why they do that, I'll give you an example because they talk practical example.
Yeah.
From your experience, and this is not a salon. I worked in Kenya developing a policy for the health management system.
Right.
Like now in Sierra Leone, we get what you call DHMT under the health, District Health Management Team. And normally, if you take like place, the equivalent of like Kabbalah or somewhere, the doctor, when at the district medical officer, when at the big alejo. But when I find out who I go do this work, doctor na they keep the motorcar key and decide who that for use the motorcar. We're not trying to work that. Not to say because we don't get a situation where doctor they go, he lock kid in an office. Take come back. This is an abuse of authority. And we get the same system. All over Africa, not just Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
So the policy will determine who that for managed transport. Each place get a transport officer when they job that. And let me come back to the driver, because that's the policy they deal with that. The driver don't go, he don't get a trip request. Now, and when I tell me people them, when that driver, when you go to that driver, and they in charge, now he's responsible. So if driver get request, say, we come for empowerment. say you for take Mr. X go Lonsar. If Mr. X reach Lonsar, he want go McKinney, that driver there for get right for tell and say, pa, no, they carry go. Because not to that, they send you for Candy Street for camp. And not for victimize that driver, not for say because a driver.
Yeah. La pause you there quickly, because this is something I'm very much interested in. Because yes, as a matter of policy, this is what it says. So it say you know for penalize the driver or take action against the driver on that basis, because all the driver is doing is a follow policy. But we know say the driver risk being fired by the boss simply because it try for articulate policy as stipulated by some document which he or she may have signed. How do we avoid such things, Mr. Victor? This is not the question, because this is exactly what happens. The policies are there, but they are abused. How can a driver be empowered, for carry out that act there and still retain and maintain in job without being victimized?
It starts from how they make the policy. The way they make the policy, how will they do them? Now stakeholder, I call and say company. When I go decide how best for use and manage transport, all man in pips the commoner and shoulder. Yeah, it is for the general good. So all man they help for develop that policy there and sign, which is collective ownership of the policy. So if you in a big man, you know saying that we all agree, say, if they send you from point A to point B, you want to go point C, that driver get right for say, I know they go.
Yes, Mr. Mengot. Again, I therefore interject at this point, because the point where I really try for drive to is, yes, this is what it says, Mr. Mengot. The driver not get a right for go because they operate within in right as stipulated by policy. Let's take a typical example. We don't talk about a NACOVERC vehicle for typical example. We then see a senior minister inside cabinet use one of them vehicles they are, inappropriately. And not only first time this they happen, because you mentioned several other examples, whether not from driver, go to wood, where it's supposed for they do emergency services, if not ambulance nature kind of vehicle. But they use the big man at the top. We use the vehicle inappropriately, go na some side who side not supposed to go at the time and the way out it go there. What sort of penalty measures, can be taken against such person? How can we embed this inside guidelines and principles? Is it about the conscience, or is it really about the law?
It is conscience, it is law, it is leadership. 3, conscience, law, leadership. Let's start from the leadership point of view. I will quote this government, and I'll start on record. And it's there. When President Bio came to power, the president, as you know, the Constitution got right for make a lot of executive order.
Yeah.
And one of the first executive order we make, which was also sanctioned by the Inspector General of Police by them, say no big allejo way in a minister or big civil servant for broke traffic. So when President don't put the law, he did explain them. The Inspector General don't say the same thing. Then we come to conscience. Conscience, the man we get in that position there, he gonna drive na road, he see people into line. He feels say he important as the other man. So he drive opposite, now the other opposite road, which is against the law. Leadership come, we don't talk the president, we don't talk about conscience. The third part is collective responsibility. So we'll come back to that policy. We are all responsible for keep us safe. We are all responsible for deliver government service with the resources they will give it. Not to say because you're in a big allojo, you want to abuse that government resources. One of the things that we talk, I don't want to go into specifics, but many times, people then go attest to that. Not to Mr. Mengo say, Mr. Brown, they go salon, never mind that they have won. Big man, they drive the motoka, they want to go the UK business, then cover out with black pieces. Then anybody tell me it's a lie, lie.
Yeah.
Go in a go school, we been a read book. And one of the favorite books they will be reading at James Hadley test. And one title they will be like, The Guilty Are Afraid.
Yeah.
So the man called by number plate because he feels guilty because he did something he's not supposed to do.
Yeah.
And order for take action against her. Just ago you create parable, becoming a Fulaton boy. Then he say for mass agidigi lepets, not to the team. Now order for giam, that agididi. That's not the problem we're going to talk. When the big man misbehave, who do they hold them to account?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very correct, sir. And Fambule, yeah, go on, Mr. Megot. Go on, please.
So since I talk about policy, let's just get the government now. We don't talk within in itself. The guidelines, the procurement we get already. Not for vehicle no more. We get the National Procurement, Public Procurement Act. And I listened to the Deputy Financial Secretary today, na BBC, when Huma Fofana interviewed on this same issue. He said, you can check, and I quote, the government accept the findings of the report and then they study it. Some of them tear away the Audit Commission, the reports recommend, they will consider it and it will take them the next 1 to 2 years for implementer. How have they gone about it? They say they don't employ new procurement officers where they don't train and empower. So each ministry and department that they go responsible for procurement. And when they talk about e-procurement, whereby when you want procure government vehicle, it go there. All man bid. And one government agency will go look for comment. Although not to procurement or mobility, the other two cause problem. Now, the Public Service Commission.
Yeah.
You can go on their website and you go see all the government job them where they advertise. You go see the person specification, the job description, and the deadline. You fill in the form, you access it. The last government passed the Freedom of Access to Information Act, which in all entire they happen in the country. Because people they don't know. And at the same reason, make we do them program here. We do them program here for educate people. Let them understand. Yeah. You're not to all man accountant, me not to accountant. But when it comes to governance and policy, and by the way, in case people let it talk, I begin working in a salon almost 40 years ago. And I went through the system. We had systems in place. I applied for a job, which was gazetted. I went for an interview. I was assessed and given the job, where I started as an air traffic controller. Now make me a transport professional today. So we don't talk about bringing new system, just like we became British Prime Minister, John Major. I worked at the time in the parliament when he was Prime Minister. He gets a famous saying, back to basics. Let's go back to basics. We had all these systems in place. The only difference now, we get for move from analog to digital.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. As we fast running out of time, of course, we get a little bit of time for play on, but there's so much for cover. I just want to say season greetings to everybody again. We managed for tuning. I still ask Fambulem for let we shape please let we shape the audio. I mean the video. We can even share the audio version as well. And I bring on a season greetings from the Then and Now platform. And I want to say special thanks to Mr. Daniel Rogers, because he's made a couple of contributions which are very positive, but above all, we appreciate. Now, for let people then compare and contrast, one of the things that like the UK government admitted it did not follow procedures to buy PPE at the height of COVID-19, and there's a reason I understand why the brother post this. Now, for let we look into the thing and the statement from the government from where the COVID-19 happened, the audit report where they release, and all the thing where they inside. Salon people that we get for learn how to read. Let people know they read for we. If you don't understand something after you don't read, look for experts who get them. Bokuna one now they talk to so today. You know, strange. You can follow them all over the line. You can manage to get in contact. Let we begin this conversation so we go understand, so that we don't become fools in a fool's paradise, because we did way above that. Okay. I also want to commend other people on the platform as well. Mr. Trusin J, is your comment justifying the Salon present government did the right thing? Was the Ebola procurement not emergency? That's not what the man is saying at all. And I make it fine for let we listen. It was an emergency. You see, the conversation is deep. And at this, I encounter this all of the time. Please, Fambule, Mr. Trusin J, go back and listen to what the brother is saying. Keep an open mind, not come to the conversation with the mind already made up, or you can come, but open the mind up and absorb. Look at from every perspective before you conclude. It's almost like science. Not to talk away, not to looking on. When are you saying one, they go tell the Moriman and the Moriman tell you say, yes, now so. No. And I think the way you can research for yourself, and everything the man is talking about here is documented, is archived. And he's worked internationally, and we should be proud of people of this kind. I'm not to say they can't be biased. You can make that decision there yourself when you listen. But what he's saying here is something that we're supposed to learn from and listen, okay? It's a crime out in the country. Don't know what you mean by that. And it just makes no difference, bro. Failure is failure. We do agree, everybody are mitigating circumstances, and the same amount they try for blame on the report scorecard now VOS. This is what it is. It's not to say government will fail here and there, but you not just they fail them totally, even when you go school. By your report card, come on now. When the teacher they do your appraisal and your assessment, if you say they look at you strong points and your weak points, side and no say you will develop. If you say because you fail by English and math, then just put a big X there and that's the end of you. Come on, man. Let's raise our game. Let's raise it. So, Alaji Mahmoud Kamara, Voice of Salon, TV Scorecard, Winston Ojuku to Macaulay Jr. Thank you very much. What I meant scorecard for what? Okay, this is a conversation ongoing with people on the platform. Okay, same thing ongoing. Mr. Rogers, again, folks not used to fact and objectivity. Quite correct. I do agree with that. The partisan politics, identity politics is on the rise, but we are not going to give up. It is our duty constitutionally, as provided in the Constitution, I believe Section 11 of the 1991 Constitution, for continue for whole government to account and help for empower, we compatriate them via information on the media. Alaji Mahmoud, police and military vehicles. Yeah, it's government. Yeah, Rwanda, somebody mentioned the government is now working on implementing vehicle fleet management. And when I know the people that will articulate this vehicle fleet management, where a progressive country like Rwanda is now embarking on, this is not the man who we get on the platform here tonight. He's worked in Kenya and several other countries, worked with the British Parliament in a senior position. You're inside the British Parliament and has learned a lot there. So these are people that can help with country, okay? And I mean, in every sense, shape, or form. Yeah, we don't have to agree with every one of it. We can have our disagreements, but respect is most valued. Mr. Mengot, thank you for your patience for listening to all of that, which we normally do on the platform. Mr. Lawyer Ade Macaulay will be on the platform tomorrow night. Ladies and gentlemen, Please don't forget, we get several other shows and they come for Una. We get the year in review, and hopefully we go get Mr. Mengot for Commit Live once he's on live here. For say yes, he will be on the platform, for help for take the year, into the next year via the review. Mr. Mengot, I'll come back to you, sir. I've said this much and it's necessary because part of the education, now the kind things that we involve, sir. So we talk about the basic principles of transport and fleet management. I know say you address just one more time. I want you compact and compress them. What is the necessity? Like somebody just mentioned Rwanda, they embark on that. You've spoken on it, we get them, but you see something we have to be repetitive. Like a myself soon as something for that I get for a year a couple of times. Basic principles of transport and fleet management. What is the necessity, Mr. Mengot, please?
The first thing, now management information. Yes, and then our general principles. In management, regardless of any area we did, the general principle is that what you can't measure, you can't manage. And I put it in terms where people and they understand. If you're a man, you get wealth and 3 picking them. You know most plates rest and they eat. If you know saying that this, you know go buy 1 cup rest for feed your family. So similarly, you need information on things they want to talk about. How much fuel they use.
Yeah.
Waiting are your maintenance cost. Yeah. Waiting are your insurance cost. Because for manage, in anything, you get fixed costs, you get variable costs. Variable cost is waiting at running cost. Like fuel, maintenance, lubricants, and all that. Right? You get for budget for them. You get for budget for all the information. Now the information technology world we did. It's a digital age. You get systems. That's why they get fleet management software. You can put all the information there.
You can do periodic review as well and make a policies.
You can able measure how much it will cost you for move that vehicle 1 kilometer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, sir.
And when we talk about fleet management, it comes back to from Bondi to tell you die. Bondi now we buy the vehicle. We die now we the vehicle not useful again.
From the cradle to the grave.
To the grave. It is a cyclical process. All these systems you get for document them. Like for instance, vehicle and they are talk about maintenance. In maintenance, you get 3 types of maintenance. You get routine maintenance, when we call it normally it's the A maintenance, when after every 3,000 kilometers. Then you get the one when 5,000 kilometers. Then you get when overall maintenance when 1,000 kilometers. So if you get all that information there, you know say where it approach, you could approach 10,000 kilometers, you get for do maintenance, full maintenance. And you also the manual we get, it will tell you the duration of each part of the vehicle, how long it lasts. So that's how you plan your maintenance. That all this data and fleet management. Of course, the other parts were very important, right? Now, human resources. The people, the way to operate their vehicle. People that can criticize, but I can put this challenge to them. In the whole of Sierra Leone, there's not a single driving school that provides training, when I mean training, for drivers of their high-powered vehicle they are.
Yeah.
And when I give me speech, when I talk to them, big allegedly, I ask them one simple question. They all tend to fly abroad. And I can go back, I started my career in one of the safest transport industry, which is air traffic control. At the very Sierra Leone airport, we get systems and procedures. And one of the hardest examinations in the world to qualify as an air traffic controller, you can forget a minimum of 95% pass.
Wow.
You only allow 5% margin of error. So I asked the big man, how many of you now go enter a plane We don't know if the pilot trained.
Profound question.
But how many of in the city have vehicle them? We not sure say that driver they get license or properly trained. I see one in Kenya, they get them pura the way they call matatu. And even if we don't pura, I will give that to a transport man. And sometimes they read that thing and they wait at the pura. I see one day. He said clearly, then for the other driver, he said this vehicle has no brains. Use yours. The vehicle not get brain. Use away the drive. So how will they train with driver them? How will they certify with driver them? How will they license them is very important. So the human resources are the central part. Not only the driver, with transport officer them. People that will get the skills. How many people they know say in Sierra Leone today? Part of Frobe College, IPAM, the Institute of Public and Administrative Management, they do offer a course in transport and logistics.
Yes, sir.
Have we improved that? Do they use that resources there? Government for the work with places like IPAM, letting them train their transport officer.
So I want to ask you a question on that basis, and this is political, sir. I don't say we don't meander around, the reality, but I just want to go straight to the heart of this, because yes, we can talk about all of this in this context. In terms of the implementation, it's not going to work because the approaches are not being followed or the recommendations are not being followed. Typical examples, we can go on and on and on, but I just want to come back to waiting you just talk about Gigi Snow when it comes to human resource in terms of policies. Personnel has to be trained, and the people that we merit them and the need for the typical example where you give, before you go on your sojourn abroad, I believe, you begin for widen your horizon, you work as an air traffic controller at the Lunge International Airport. And for that you become an air traffic controller, you have to have a pass of 95% with a 5% margin of error. And you ask all them big man there whether they go on a plane, if they're not sure whether the person is highly trained, we get for fly them. The identification and the capacity building and retention of the right people for run or manage with transport system. If the political nature of things as we know them, both then and now, we are not just blaming the now or talking about the now, we're also talking about the then. Continue for be compromised. Self-interest, conflict of interest, continue in that area there. Will we ever see this change where person like you, they spend a lifetime, they try for for the future of the country, sir?
Once me and my way, I like use international experience and quotes. And again, one quote. One of the founding fathers of African independence, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere,
the teacher,
make a statement.
Yeah.
He said, others have been to the moon, while we Africans are still struggling to get to our villages.
Wow. Wow.
It's a heavily loaded statement.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, you can feel the impact even decades on. Yeah.
Yeah. We get people then where not go to the infrastructure because I'm also a traffic engineer. One day, they make the road. Yeah?
Yep.
They make the road, but it will spend $70,000 for buy high-powered vehicle for go on top of the stone there. Let the neighbor the way they work and treat the sea. So then they drive, it blow dust in your face.
Yeah.
If na rain season, it splash water by you. All these two they talk now human behavior. And one of the most difficult things for change attitude. And with government, regardless of from time immemorial, some of we Next year, we celebrate 60 years of independence. I begin go school when we get independence. Now, we know the first one, then we go wave that flag where the Duke of Kent come.
Yeah.
First in independence.
Yeah.
Then we make that cup, that brown cup, we get the British Union back and the Salon flag. That is why we change everything. We get with coat of arms. And all they sing with national anthem. And I want to address the critics here. Right? If we go now with national anthem, he says, knowledge and truth our forefathers spread. Mighty the nation whom they led. So if we not spread that knowledge and truth, we hide under green beret or red ronco, we approach 60 years. What legacy are we going to leave for our children?
Yeah. Wow. Mr. Mengot, that is really powerful, and it sort of set me off balance because it really touched me deep, especially the last statement, which legacy we will get for left for the children, which is why some of us are struggling, going the extra mile, or make sure say something happens. And Mr. Mengo, there's something I want to ask you before we conclude this program, if you can touch on them. Because there are many things we really don't understand, and we see the ignorance right now on the platform sometimes, although everybody entitled to their opinion, but like I can say, your opinion not necessarily make you right. And some people can hide behind your opinion. There are a few abused words in this 21st century. Hate now one, opinion now the other one, where you take on people and it's like my opinion. If your opinion get forget value, you get forget variance, you get forget variable, okay? You can't just back off and protect yourself as a shield and say, well, now my opinion, like say case done. Your opinion get for border on something that we can visit, and then we get a conversation around them. You touch on something way very close to my heart, sir, which is about waiting with the left for we picking them and we picking them. This is quite important because on that's the way we take. We easily they go sign for them now because now the nature of money, the desperation and human nature, the selfishness in us. But there's a consequence for all of this, Mr. Mengot, and I'm sure you will share that same sentiment with me. These monies will have to be paid because it's a debt. So are we mortgaging our country? And if this is the case, what we need for understand and how we need for appeal to we current day leaders, either now, then, of course, the then is gone, the now is here, and the future is yet to come. What do we need for do? I understand which are they try for arrival.
Yeah, I understand what you say.
Can you address this, please? Will you?
I understand what you say. And this is something which I always think about. Let's get, I will personalize them first.
Please do.
Yeah, I do. Most of we Canadian country are, right? We come sometimes, man come for 1 year, man come for 2 years. Then country are not like back home, where you go buy land, you build us. Yeah, we get what they call mortgage. And that mortgage you take for 25 years. And I call that system the imprisonment with hard labor. The way you don't take that 25 years mortgage day, it means you get for discipline yourself, for able to stay in a job, for put the roof over
25 years, quarter of a century.
For 25 years.
Yeah.
Bokuma not come back. I remember again what they left Lunge. One Timinipa tell me, Okente.
Yeah.
He said, Bobo, for England, not saying anything. Now for turn back.
Yeah. Come back to that your analogy of the leopard for mix the agidi.
Yes. How do we come back? So let's take the debt issue. Debt is inevitable. No country, they will not get debt. And very few individuals, they will not get debt. But now how you manage the debt and what you use it for. If we country take debt for better with life of the people, By the time that 25 years, that's it will begin and go down affluent and grand begin and go down affluent. Not for face the same poverty.
Yes, sir.
So we take debt for a purpose. And we'll take debt now for change the dynamics. Let we look at the resources we'll get in a salon. If we manage the resources well, Sierra Leone no need to take debt. Fish alone, the amount of revenue where we fish, you see, now we did Britain. Draw between Britain and Europe. You know what in the draw pan? Now, we don't forget fishing rights. Now, big industry. Yeah. We get with coastline, Chinese man, Korean man, they all the kind of take with resources. It just tell like where you did, you left your house open, you left your house the most open. You go check, you sleep. Because we don't check now, we check with power. We don't drunk with power. We left your house the most open. Other man go can take what you get. That is our situation. I'm not against debt per se, but let's take debt for the right thing.
Yeah.
And let's take debt for change the lives of our people. Again, as I say, we're not going to make one maths. Because one put again, you get to say, he say, Wamat better pass by that.
Yeah.
So then people like we go criticize what would they do or say you do scorecard. They are distractions. Each and every one of Sierra Leone, as long as we true to our conscience. And like we were fortunate enough to work in a Boko country. And I can use Kenya as an example because I spent 7 years of my life there. The average Kenyan believe in the Swahili saying, which says, Najivunia kwam Kenya, which means I am proud to be a Kenyan. All the social warriors there, how many of them will say, I am proud to be a Sierra Leonean? No, ask yourself that question in it.
Yeah.
And let's revisit our national anthem. Will the hills and the valleys still be echoing our children's cry? We sing with national anthem. I will exalt the realm of the free. Great is the love we have for thee. Family united, ever we stand. He did it. Not for singer no more president want to listen to her. Let's listen to the words. The people who drafted the lyrics, people like the late John Akar, blessed memory, there was a meaning behind it. And when you look at the coat of arms, then 3 words, then they did it. Unity, freedom, and justice. Unity, freedom, and justice.
Justice, yeah. Wow. The national anthem, of course, this is attached to civic responsibility or civic education. And the reason why Mr. Mengot, I can feel him because whilst you are a big brother, I will put him in that way there because you're a couple of years older than me. But I come at that time there in which I meet the kind of things the way you talk about, and this begin for build these kind of aspirations the way they inside me, because I also wave the flag na Kisiro. I'm a product of Holy Trinity School, and I remember inside with khaki, green khaki with yellow binding, Trinity, and went on to Cathedral Boys School with the red and the green. And always they go wave the flag. I mean, always like for see heads of states and they come, whether at the OLT or what have you, saw Mengistu Haile Mariam. Of course, he was a dictator as was described then. But then I equally see many other presidents them we can visit them and that and Asoki see old clean so very, very clean. They go up gone and the been gone. I still remember as a boy. And it was just there across from we, then go line way up and bring we come. But the point what they try for make is the civic education then either they now or not mean anything to people anymore. And this is the thing. And this is where a nation begins to lose its very soul, where you try to articulate so. And it's really, really pathetic, because the way how you sing out the national anthem with the essence and the relevance of the words, it not mean much to many of the people now. And I believe not many can really sing it. If they even do not understand the words and what it means. So it means something else. That's what makes us patriotic. That's what makes us proud, yes, Sierra Leoneans. Yeah, we raise up our voices. The hills and the valleys, they hear our cries, and they reverberate to the beyond. And together, they connect we all as a people. But it seems like that was some time ago and not now. But what I say, I'm in a disappointing way. It's not the end. There's a lot more, and we're not giving up. Because somehow as a nation, we get for offend that Heartbeats Day, and the heartbeats are mean as one. And then we rise up together, we should. And if we for done together, not to this cutaway are we day. Mr. Mengot, thank you so very much, sir. I want to let you conclude this program bang on time. In conclusion to all this talk we don't talk, we center on management of transport, the essence, NACOVERC, the purchasing of vehicles, gas guzzling vehicles, the benefits for the people, the essence and significance of transportation, the audit report, what is say, the middleman there. But Mengot, in conclusion, why is management for transport very, very significant for a nation? Now, something we touch on, but we want the wrap up for the entire
program. The reason why, in conclusion, government, we go back, I can always go to the constitution.
Yeah.
Sovereignty belongs to the people. Now we the choose we leaders. And we leaders them, therefore provide services for we. And for every ministry and department, then for able for providing service day, for make we get available transport, we efficient, we affordable, we safe, and we cost effective. Now go back recently. In England, they have rules for transport animals. We in Sierra Leone, we see during this COVID crisis, with the past people in our winter.
21st century.
21st century. Also, the reason why we manage transport, when they use transport, now any ministry or department, at that time they make for you deliver service to even the ministry itself and external. Because ministry can get different parts. Like take the Ministry for Health, for instance. Then get the minister that you building. You get key place in a medical store in Kinama Road, in Jomo Kenyatta Road. You need transport for, if you need something in a medical store, then are you internal customer. You external customer, now the people the way they serve, where they're sick, you need transport for care and hospital. In the provinces, right? The women them have to walk miles, go hospital. And I can challenge for somebody here. Now ask yourself what you don't do for Sierra Leone. Years back, I provided 10 motorbike ambulance for Sierra Leone at no cost to the government.
Wow.
It is on record for the Cambia Hospital project. Because we know gladly, we will mama there and we sister there, they die because transport not there for care and go hospital. And the failure of delivery of service, most time, like give another example, that because transport not there. Now we get armed robbery. They go attack you in a house, we phone the police. Or let them come to your rescue. Police say, you know, get transport for can't save you. It's a matter of life and death. The next reason, I don't talk, I didn't babble figures there where people they want to dispute. Transport now one of the highest costs that we budget for any ministry. So ministry, they take 30 to 50% of your budgetary cost. And if you manage them properly, you can reduce that cost. Argue what it costs we. If you manage transport, the savings alone, we can able to provide other services them for people. When we buy with vehicle them, like this COVID, we know they take into consideration which you want use them for. Who for use them, how for use them. That is one reason that everybody for play parts on this. We for set targets, performance indicator, and which I talk about how much fuel they use per kilometer. If you're a doctor or you're a matron with community health, we provide you with bicycle. I don't work on side where they give nurses the motorcycle for going to the village. When they give you that motorcycle, they almost picking that you see from under 5, almost below woman you treat. You measure your performance with transport. And to round up, the purpose of this transport system, we don't talk about policy, we don't talk about operational system, we don't talk about human resources, we don't talk about the law, the regulation.
Yeah.
Until we sit down and get these things right. We pray God for let another disaster come, because people may talk about comparison between Ebola and COVID.
Yeah.
Get a problem in COVID. Now Ebola. After Ebola, we see mudslide. For rescue them people, and then we need transport. Now we don't get COVID. We still the draw and talk about whether for buy vehicle, whether you buy SUV, or you buy Prado,
yeah.
Or whether for big middleman, whether not for big middleman. I will commend the government to finish. The fact that they sit down and think for come up with the vehicle fleet management policy is commendable. Yeah. But the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step.
Absolutely, sir.
Let's instill discipline in our society. Let the government take the move. I will criticize. I can criticize based on facts. And I'll give praise where praise is due. Me fumble them. I thank you very much. And I hope you always end with Salako and saying, "Le will kapu sense, le will no kapu word."
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what a philosophical ending. Kapu sense and not kapu word. I'm not a fan of the man where we make that phraseology the very, very famous, but anything with philosophical, because I can be philosophical myself, I do borrow into it, which is kapu sense, not kapu word. Fambule, we don't come to the end of this wonderful program. Just before I close the program in itself, I want to say this, because now this platform, we talk nothing but sense, absolute sense. Absolute sense. You may not agree, but we ask you for take a step back and try for listen. If the conversation was about theatrics, typical example about the First Lady, Mrs. Fatima Bio, and Dr. Sylvia Blinden, you go see the people flocking and the numbers rising. The question what we need for ask ourselves, is this the way we want to go based on theatrics, or we want something of relevance and substance? This is the question that we need for ask ourselves. Because if we look for then kind low grade, I call it low grade scoring, of course we get the capacity for do that. We can bring videos of the First Lady, conversations or voice messages of Dr. Sylvia Blinden and play them and give them a sensational title where some press people can do, and we go get the numbers. But rather on this platform, we want to talk about things of substance. Things of substance, it doesn't occur in one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. So over a period of time, we understand that. But we want for let Fambule also understand this, say, the imperative and onus they upon them for begin to understand what they talk about policies, because this now they will carve out the decision-making process going forward. This now they produce the education and the empowerment via information for UNA. I will save all this talk for now, because I know say then talk there they sink in. People in the area, it does not have to be about theatrics. The first lady go dance in a constituency 110. Of course, we can have a laugh about them, but the country they beyond that. See, if you are blind and say it will address the nation at 10 o'clock or whatever, from whichever location, of course, we understand the theatrics and people that are interested, but there's something more important about the country than that. Not a policy, than they. You know, they shape your life. You know, they shape the lives of Sierra Leoneans. You know, they shape the direction where the country they go. What is important is what we talk about here. Policy statements. Policies then where they shape the nation where we call Sierra Leone. Where they bring respect for we. Where they bring value to we people then. Where they upgrade the lives of we people then. That's what we talk about. It's not everything that government does is wrong. So when person give government the right, why we do get upset other than just look at why did they say government was right on this? Why not look at from that perspective there? So Fambulem, like I say, we don't come towards the end or to the end of this program. But the purpose for implementing a transport management system, which will be the emphasis of the discussion here tonight, within any ministry or a department, now for interpret policies that we already did in existence, put them in a format which is appropriate, and to for their then same agency there or government institutions then create an operational system where none of what we talk about does exist. That's why, or one of the reasons. So if the proposed policy is written in simple language, for example, that which supersedes, what is supersede mean? Waiting come above everything else, okay? In policies, them where they exist, whether na right na in right them, whether na talk na in talk them, whether na assumption na in they make, yes, they say, or na custom or tradition and practice, as long as it's accessible in a format we go allow people and forget easy access or make easy reference, where nobody, where basically you're kind of literate, can be excluded from knowing what the rules are and the regulations are. Ignorance, fumble them, and this now the left una with. Ignorance can no longer be an excuse for breaking rules, and discipline can be fairly enforced. Kapu sense, no kapu word. For the then and now, and not forget, tomorrow we get lawyer Ade Macaulay on the program. We will talk about issues of constitutionality. Remember saying I've been the former boss of the COI. So he go in at this platform here. We will talk about the audit reports. Now we get boku idea inside there. We know that. We will also talk about issues of constitutionality. We border on many other things. Famulem, on this basis, I really want to let it's been a brilliant one, and I want to say thank you to Mr. Victor Mengot. He's been absolutely